Yeah, you are right. Hungry is the one who is not getting proper nutrition. So excellent explanation. And also mentioning the regional limitation and solutions. So that was a great listening to you. With this, we shall be proceeding towards our SDG number 10, which is reduce inequalities. For this, I would like to invite Mr. Jayson Dela from Philippines. He's a lecturer and global ambassador at 21st Digiskills. In addition to that, he is also the editor-in-chief for the International Journal of Science, Technology, Education, and Management. Over to you, sir. Stage is yours.
Thank you very much to our Mr. Moderator. I hope I am audible.
So yes, you are audible, sir.
Okay. My apology, I cannot open my video because there is a heavy rains here in the Philippines. Nevertheless, I would like to proceed. Greetings from the Philippines. Before I start my talk on the 10th Sustainable Development Goals, SGD 10, which is reduce inequality, I would like to express my sincerest thanks and appreciation to my dearest friend, a multi-talented, multi-awarded, super brilliant, and a phenomenal woman, Dr. Rania Lampu, for the kind invitation, and also to the host organization, the Youth Diplomacy Forum, and of course, my greatest appreciation to other eminent speakers, especially to my kababayan, Dr. Cliff, who is our who is our first speaker, and to our dear participants for today's webinar, our youth coming from different countries across the globe. Indeed, our youth is actually the hope and the future of this planet, as their voice is very powerful to change this world. The 10th Sustainable Development Goal is about to reduce inequality within and among countries, and it is one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals established by the United Nations in 2015. As mentioned by our first speaker, these Sustainable Development Goals are actually aims or targets of the United Nations. Same with SGD 10, its aim is to reduce by 2030 inequalities based on income, sex, age, disability, sexual orientation, race, class, ethnicity, religion, and opportunity. Reducing these social and economic inequalities within and among countries is not only the key element to ensure that no one is left behind. It is also a necessary condition for sustainable poverty reduction and social cohesion. Inequality is a major obstacle to sustainable economic growth. Unlike poverty, it is a characteristic that can be defined at the individual level. Inequality is a relational concept that refers to the differences between individuals or groups and that covers various dimensions such as economic inequality, social inequality, political inequality, and environmental inequality. The 10th Sustainable Development Goals has actually 10 targets to be achieved by 2030. The first 7 targets are outcomes targets, which look into the consideration of reducing income inequalities, promote universal social, economic, and political inclusion, ensure equal opportunities and discrimination, adopt fiscal and social policies that promotes equality, improve regulation of global financial market and institutions, enhance representation for developing countries in financial institutions, responsible and will manage migration policies. The other 3 targets are means of achievement targets, such as special and differential treatment for developing countries, encourage development assistance and investment in least developed countries, reduce transaction costs for migrant remittances. Inequality exists in various forms such as economic, gender, disability, race, social inequality, and different forms of discrimination. There are 10 targets of UN and with 11 indicators. These indicators are actually the measurement wherein it measures if these 10 targets are achieved. The first target is reduce income inequalities. By 2030, progressively achieve and sustain income growth of the bottom 40% of the population at a rate higher than the national average. Its indicator is growth rates of household expenditure or income per capita among the bottom 40% of the population and the total population. For target 2, promote universal social, economic, and political inclusion, wherein by 2030, empower and promote social, economic, political inclusion of all, regardless of age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economic and other status. Its indicator is actually the proportion of people living below 50% of the median income by sex, age, persons with disabilities. The need for improved data collection is particularly pertinent now so that countries are able to identify and take action in the poorest and disproportionately affected by economic impacts of COVID-19. For target 3, to ensure equal opportunities and end discrimination. Ensure equal opportunity and reduce inequalities of outcome, including by eliminating discriminatory laws, policies, and practices, and promoting appropriate legislation, policies, and action in this regard. Its indicator is actually proportion of population reporting having personality felt discriminated against or harassed in the previous 12 months on the basis of ground of discrimination prohibited under the international human rights law. Target 4, adopt fiscal and social policies that promotes equality. Adopt policies, especially fiscal wage and social protection policies, and progressively achieve greater equality. Its indicator is labor share of the gross improve
Sir, we are unable to hear you well. I think he just mentioned about the weather situation.
regulation and monitoring of global
Yeah, I think he's dropped due to certain limitations of weather, probably.